You guys ready? Good evening. I would like to call to order the Board of Supervisors meeting for the wonderful town of Sevastopol, Monday, October 20th, and it is 7 o'clock. So would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And how about we establish a quorum, Amy?
Supervisor Linda Waite. Here. Chairman Dan Wolfel.
Uh-oh, I've been supplanted. Here.
Supervisor Jeannie Vogel.
Here.
Supervisor Trent Olson.
Here.
Supervisor Mark Hayne is excused.
All right. Next item on our agenda is the meet and greet. We'd like to know who all you wonderful people are. Some we recognize are regular attendees. Others are mysterious. So we'll start with the person that we know in front. I think your name is Hugh?
Hugh Zettel. I represent the eastern half of Sevastopol and the northern Ward 1 of the Town of Sturgeon Bay as District 14 County Board Supervisor, and I live at 3986 Glen Drive.
Cool. Miss?
Christy Roning, 4228 Rowell Road. I'm here as an observer for the League of Women Voters.
Jackie Excellent, 6457 Whitefish Bay Road, just resident.
Grand Grade Boys, 5343 South Lake Road.
Tim Baumgartner, 833 South Park Street, Shawnee, Wisconsin. I work for the Dairy Business Association.
Dick Wyman, 4108 South Country View Road.
Don Disty, 3946 Matthew Road.
John Vincent from Sturgeon Bay Township, 2794 Lake Forest Park Road. Here to observe this evening.
Let's go back row.
Finish off, is what he
Roy
said.
Alterman, 6459 Whitefish Bay Road.
Larry Bolt, 2856 Carterville.
Erin Tomasic, I'm from Columbus, Wisconsin, also here with Dairy Business Association.
All right. John, how about you and Jean?
Jean Elsty, 4339 Glidden Drive.
John Swanson, 4395 Glidden Drive.
Deanna Swanson, 4395 Glidden Drive.
Annette Vincent, 2794 Lake Forest Park Road.
Mike Nelson, 3484 North Lake Michigan Drive.
Nancy Kidd, 5150 County Road P.
Lisa Mangus, 5135 Forest Road.
Randall Magnus, ditto.
Mary Foster, 6427 Whitefish Bay Road.
Brenda Lang, 6417 Whitefish Bay Road.
Josh Montpepper, Whitefish Bay Road.
Thank you. Welcome. I haven't seen such a good turnout since the last time we had a meeting on the quarry. Oh. Hopefully this is not a repeat. Okay. Next item on our agenda is public participation, and typically it's for non-agenda items. But I'm going to make the assumption that there's a fair number of you are here regarding the Gilbert Farms conversation. Just for balance purposes, how many would, those of you that are here that are opposed, would you just raise your hand? Okay. And those that are in favor of?
Would you repeat the question, Dan?
Pardon me?
Would you repeat the question?
I said, those of you that are opposed to the Gilbert Farms, would you please raise your hand? I'm just trying to get a sense of where I'm going to go next with this meeting, so that's the only reason I ask, okay?
I'm going to turn up the PA a little bit because even though
I can't hear you, Dick.
That's better.
You should move up where there's a microphone.
Here, move forward.
What are Gilbert's proposing?
Pardon me?
What are Gilbert's proposing? Or what do they want to do?
They want to install, they want to expand to a concentrated animal feeding operation. So, all right. So here's what we'll do. If there's someone here that would like to speak on a non-agenda item, Now's your opportunity to speak up. All right? After that, what I will do is I will take a couple of people who are diehard, want to speak their piece, positive and negative. We'll give you 3 minutes to talk. After that, I'm going to stop the conversation, and we're going to go about our meeting, and when it comes to time for the discussion by the board, it will be a discussion of the board and without public participation. Okay? So, does anybody desire to speak on a non-agenda item and not Gilbert Farms at this time? Okay. All right. So, I will take someone that likes to speak, and I'm going to ask you to use the microphone, pick it up, hold it to your mouth so we can hear you, and this is being recorded and goes out over the air. And after you, I will give someone that's in the opposition, and we'll go back and forth for a few minutes until we've reached a reasonable conclusion. Now, keep in mind that we have all been inundated with voicemails, emails, texts, you name it. So I will be surprised if somebody has something new that we haven't heard, but I want to give you an opportunity to at least say your piece. So let's not be overly repetitive in that regard. So who would like to start?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
excuse me. So I assume we are moving to number 9, new business A.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. We will move that up to new business. So who would like to speak? All right, Miss, you're going to grab a microphone.
Grab any microphone.
You can take it right out of the holder if you want.
This is fine.
Okay.
All I would like to do is thank the board for considering your resolution.
Oh, please, I'm sorry.
I understand you don't
Give
want
me
to.
your name.
Name
what?
first.
Just give
Oh,
us your name.
Annette Vincent.
Thank
The
you, Annette.
2794, Lake Forest Park Road.
Yep.
Thanking the board for considering the resolution, listening to us. I hope you guys have, I know you've been inundated with emails, texts, etc. Please read them. They have a lot of detailed content. I'm asking you to please plan on attending the November 5th at 10 a.m. public hearing. You are our elected officials, and I think you guys really need to be there to hear what is presented. That's item 1. Item 2 is just real quick for anybody else in the audience that does not know this. We have published the actual most recent public notice, which again was in the Door County Advocate in teeny tiny print. It is in 2 weeks ago, Pulse, in a full-size ad, so that you can read what the public notice says. Just want to make sure that people saw it. It's in the entertainment and arts section, I believe, on page 8. It's a light purple. It's a big ad, just so that you can read what's all there. Other than that, please attend the public hearing. Look at our comments and our emails, and we gave you a lot of details on specific things that we pulled out of the permit. Thank you.
All right. Someone that would like to speak who is in favor of the Gilbert proposal?
Dick Weidman, 4108 Country View Road. I guess I'm representing tonight I'm not in favor or against the CAFO operation. I think what I really want to point out is some of the misinformation that has been publicized regarding manure application and also the threats of a CAFO operation. I have a graduate degree in plant science and horticulture, UW-Madison. I've been the superintendent of the UW Research Station for over 30 years. I have a lot of experience in nutritional science. I also have about an 80-acre border with land that is owned and operated by Gilbert Farms. I'm a religious tester of my well water. Every year I test the well water, primarily for nitrates and also for E. coli. I think the misconception that somehow or another the E. coli from CAFO operations or from agriculture is part of the problem with the beach contamination situation. Nothing could be further from the truth. The E. coli contamination that occurs on our beaches is primarily from the feces of birds and wildlife, and there's never been a connection to bovine E. coli. Also, repeated testing for nitrates, the presence of nitrates. Nitrates are by far the most serious to human health. I have a somewhat shallow well, basically surrounded by land that Gilbert Farms operate. I have been well underneath the threshold of the nitrate levels, and I've been doing this for probably over 30 years. There's all kinds of misconception that manure applied, how many gallons of manure is applied per acre, without any consideration of the analysis of that liquid manure. Keep in mind that the CAFO operations have to divert all the rainwater and precipitation that falls into their manure lagoons. So if you consider that 1 inch of water, rainfall, that falls on 1 acre is about 30,000 gallons of water. If these CAFO operations are required to divert from maybe 2 to 3 acres of their operation, a 1 inch rainfall, 3 inch rainfall, whatever, is a considerable amount of gallonage going into those lagoons. So instead of considering gallonage, it really should be considering what is in that analysis of that manure going out. Again, I'm a neutral on this whole situation, but I think people, and I really think that there's a lot of emotional concern that's going into this, and I really think that we really ought to look from an agricultural standpoint, the facts regarding manure hauling and manure application and what a CAFO operation is really all about. Thank you.
All right. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? John?
John Swanson, 4395 Glidden Drive. Dick's points were interesting. I might comment on a couple of things. I'm a physician, and nitrates and nitrites in the water are particularly dangerous to small children because of a condition called methemoglobinemia that can occur. They're usually at a much smaller risk to adults. So E. coli, in my mind, is a bigger risk. And if we look at the wells in Kewanee that have been contaminated by manure and are contaminated with E. coli, and as I believe bovine E. coli, because you can separate out which is from dogs and which is from bovine as well by subtyping the E. coli. And there's some very pathogenic types of E. coli, one that can cause kidney failure, anemias, and death. That certainly extremely serious, that could be in contaminated wells. So I think we have to not discount E. coli as being a small risk, but indeed it's a large risk.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak for, on behalf of them? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Tim Baumgartner, and from B33 Channel, here on behalf of the Dairy Business Association. And I actually work with Gilbert Farms. They are members of DBA, and they recently have contracted with us to utilize our permitting service.
Excuse me, could you speak into the mic?
Can you hear me?
No, that's better.
Okay, sorry,
Thank
I
you.
apologize. They recently, in September, contracted with us to utilize our permitting program. It's not a
service that they get for free for just for being a member or part of their membership dues. They actually pay an additional amount, to DBA for that service. And our service does not replace any of the professionals that they work with, whether that be their engineers or their agronomists or anything like that. It's actually just another resource to help them manage the permitting process. As many of you are probably aware, it is pretty complex. I did submit written comments that hopefully everybody has had a chance to read. So I really just, I guess, kind of want to focus on a couple of things from there. And first one being, I would say in the spirit of cooperation, the first speaker said that encouraged everybody to listen to the public hearing on November 5th. I would agree with that. I would take that one step further. Unfortunately, the way those hearings are designed, it really is to hear public comments, so you won't hear as much about DNR process in that and what they do, but they do already have it published out on their site. There is a 60-page report that you can access that shows all of their findings, all the stuff that was looked at. One of the things as far as misinformation, I guess, and I did note that, was that there was nothing specific as far as the site itself, as the research or the due diligence done by the DNR. This farm Gilberts are going to have groundwell monitoring as part of their permit. That is not something that applies to every permitted CAFO in the state of Wisconsin, but it does apply to Gilberts and their particular operation. The other one is really the amount of time and effort and due diligence that the family has put into going down the road of getting permitted or trying to get permitted and have regulatory oversight. This, again, you're not going to probably see it at the hearing, but in this binder, there's a report. This is a design report that was done by their engineer. It is 338 pages. It signifies probably almost 2 years worth of work. And this is all specific to the site itself. Their manure storage facilities, their transfer systems, their feed pads, land that's in and right around the dairy, wetlands, all of that has been looked at. Their engineer has had to submit documentation to the DNR, basically in showing through evaluations, how their existing storage is at, any future storage that they want to build, whether that would be for manure or leachate containment or anything. So it is a very lengthy process. It is a very thorough process, and I wanted to make sure that your town is aware of the amount of work that the family has went through in order to make sure they have done things correctly, that they are looking out for not only their business but also the community at large and the environment. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else wishing to speak? One more chance, your last chance. Step up to the microphone.
I'm John Vincent. I live at 2794 Lake Forest Park Road, and I empathize with the process here, that a lot has gone into the application for this permit, and it has been a long process that commenced in 2023 when the decision was made to move ahead with this expansion. And I empathize that it's not easy being a farmer these days. Actually, never been easy being a farmer. Particularly, though, in the last 4 decades, the costs of farming have gone up significantly. The cost of land, the cost of equipment, cost of borrowing to expand, and many of the products that the farmers sell, if you look at those prices, well, they haven't really changed a lot in those 40 years. So there is a lot of strategy and impetus to get bigger in order to make a margin and to be able to make a living as a farmer. And I'm all for that. And I think the Gilberts have shown a long history of being good farmers and running a successful business for many, many decades. This is I think this is a critical, pivotal juncture in the sense that they are asking to venture into an area that they haven't been before, which is being a much larger production facility. And in order to proceed, they're going to have to increase the amount of liquid manure and processed wastewater, and correspondingly increase their facilities to accommodate that. And there are basically two important issues to be concerned about, and that is the issues at the site where they are producing it. And the gentleman before me mentioned that there will be groundwater monitoring. In that current 50 pages of permit that's been shared with us as the public, that monitoring isn't required to go into effect until 2029. And that's several years down the road from when they will be expanding. Now, there's also monitoring that goes into effect in 2027, which deals with feed runoff leachate, which was mentioned, that Gilbert Farms has been letting their feedlot runoff basically follow gravity and go into their wetland. They've acknowledged this, and as part of the permit process, a plan has been come up with to build monitoring for that ground underneath where the leachate is, and that goes into effect in 2027. And they will also be building a new lagoon just for that, as well as a much larger 8 million gallon lagoon to accommodate for the extra 4 times the amount. Now, at the site, there's a concern because there is a bedding plane sinkhole that's in the vicinity of the production facility. And what we were hoping to see in the DNR documentation was at least an acknowledgement of that, and that additional plans would go into effect to be able to divert any kind of accident or spill that could happen right at the site, so that there would be time to prevent a very large amount of effluent that could get into that sinkhole and immediately go to the wells that are in the vicinity of the CAFO. Now, the second part of concern, and this again is a new area that they're going into, which is the spreading of the nutrient, because it is a nutrient, it's good for farming. Done right, it can do a lot of good for the soil. But if it's too much, or if it's spread in areas that are under the 2 feet, which is the new defined constraint, if it's less than 2 feet, they shouldn't spread on that part of the field. 2 feet to bedrock, or 2 feet to the water table. Now, obviously, the water table varies throughout the year, so you need to be cognizant of how wet is the field. And so I'll close with just saying that it's important as a township and as neighbors and as Gilbert Farms themselves and their agreement and their relationship with their subcontractor who does the spreading, that it is done scientifically, following the restriction maps, and that it's done with care so that we, even though we're taking on a lot more, that it can be done in such a way to give us the best chance that it's done safely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll close this portion of the meeting. I just want to make a couple other comments before the board starts talking about this, and one of them is that we are no more the decision maker on this than you are, all right? So you and the town board, we're all influencers is what it is. So the DNR is not looking for a document that they move ahead with in either way. They're going to take all of this data, as they will from everyone else that speaks at the November meeting, or all the data that's been communicated to them. So please understand that this is a little different than situations we've had in the past, like the quarry project or others, where we could put a stake in the ground and move forward. So we've had a lot of feedback, as I already mentioned, from a lot of people. We felt that we needed to at least address it as a town, and that's the purpose of what we did tonight and what we're going to do. So thank you for coming and your participation. So with that, we'll revert to our agenda. And before I go farther, though, I do need to make sure that the agenda was properly noticed.
The agenda was properly noticed.
All right, and a motion to adopt?
So moved to adopt the agenda as noticed.
All right, motion by
Second.
Linda,
So
second
moved.
by Jeannie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, thank you. Approval Board of Minutes, approval of the minutes of the Board Supervisors meeting from September 15th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of Monday, September 15th, 2025.
All right, motion by Jeannie, second by?
Second?
Second by Trent. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, so down to the consideration of a potential resolution for the Gilbert Farms CAFO. Who would like to start down that pathway? Trent, how would you like to start?
Want me to start? Okay. Well, first, yes, we did get a lot of emails, a lot of information, so thank you very much for all that. A lot of links, articles, a lot of good information. I think, and again, the fact that this is a DNR decision, it's not our decision. So all we can do is give a recommendation one way or another, which the DNR can ignore or do what they want with. I think going to the CAFO puts such a stringent amount of regulations on the property that it seems that it would help to have the CAFO, because now they have to follow all of these regulations. And that's why I'm leaning towards not supporting a resolution against it.
Okay. We'll go left, right, how's that? That'll end up,
Sure.
that'll end.
First of all, let me give you some background about who I am, or where I come from. So I was raised on a farm in Southern Door. I come from generational farms, small family farms. My home farm was in Southern Door, not far from Maplewood Church. And the Polish farm at 42 and 57 is my maternal mother's home farm. It is now the fourth generation of farming. And also on my father's side, they were also farmers in the Forestville area. So I love farms, and I love farmers. It's what makes it difficult. With all due respect to the Gilbert family, from all the information I've read, and again, I thank you all for what you've done in supplying information and other things we've read. And also appreciate that there's people on different sides of many issues. But with all due respect, if there is some kind of mistake or failure, the health, safety, and livelihood of so many people in our community, and the entire county for that matter, is of greater concern to me than one farm and their employees. So I think, if anything, I would lean towards support of the resolution.
Okay, thanks, Jeannie. Linda?
Okay, thank you. I have a visual, our logo. This logo was devised about 20 years ago when we did our initial comprehensive plan. We've updated it since then. But I always thought that this logo, with the barn and the silos and the water and the waves, was a reflection on our rural agricultural culture, and also that we value our water resources. So, working on the comprehensive plan and future land use, I can tell you that the top bullet point was protect and preserve the rural character of Sevastopol. Another bullet point, third, protect prime agricultural lands and environmentally sensitive areas. Other points, preserving the farmland and protecting the water quality. And I also want to highlight a few items from the from the various correspondence and emails that we received. I believe there was about 50 in opposition and probably 8 in support. The Gilberts did submit a letter, and so I'm just going to highlight a few of the items that they mentioned in their letter. I, too, also grew up on a small dairy farm. So from Tim and Margaret Gilbert, this was in their letter, to remain a viable operation in the dairy industry or any other industry requires a focus on the future and opportunities to make progress. We would like to grow our family farm to ensure we remain financially viable while supporting future generations of our family and families of our other employees. The permit process, we are fully committed to the permit process as to transparency and working closely with the DNR. That was not an inexpensive undertaking, as Mr. Baumgarten explained from the dairy business. The Wisconsin DNR has some of the highest standards for CAFO permitting, and they are also, and the Gilberts say they are committed to meeting those standards. They went on to say that they had worked with a Madison engineering firm for at least the last 2 years. And again, Mr. Baumgartner referred to a 300-page report. I did not look at that, but I did definitely look at their WPDES application. The permit would add stringent regulation on top of the tight management they already have to follow. Monitoring wells will be installed to test the groundwater on an ongoing basis. And the Gilberts' parting comments were, please know that we love this community and we care deeply about our neighbors, the environment, our animals, and our family. So that was from the Gilberts. We also received, I'll call it a white paper, from County Board Supervisor Hugh Zettel. So I'll highlight a few of the items that he mentioned. It advocates for approval of the Gilbert Farms to operate as a concentrated animal feeding operation. The permit aligns with stringent state environmental standards, offers vital economic relief to local farmers, and reinforces the foundational importance of agriculture in our community. We have some of the highest environmental standards there are, so, and some of the most rigorous in the nation. Again, I'm quoting from this white paper. And he indicated the commitment by Gilbert Farms to being a responsible environmental partner rather than a mere regulatory compliant entity. There will be strict manure storage enforcement, nutrient management plans, well testing, and even public beach water quality testing goes on in our county. So the Gilbert Farms, again, are committed to sustaining the town of Sevastopol's agricultural economy and heritage while remaining a stakeholder in environmental compliance. And then I'd also like to make a few points from Brittany Miller. She is the DNR specialist that oversees the CAFOs in both Door and Kewaunee County. Farms from outside of Door County already apply manure within our county. And again, everybody needs their approval for a nutrient management plan. There's numerous requirements. I mean, there's all kinds of requirements. The DNR is aware of the environmentally sensitive setting on their property and plans to include additional regulatory measures to make sure that they are compliant. And Brittany, I mean, I'll get emotional on this one because she says, farming is more than a career, it's a way of life. Due to the tight margins and high operating costs, expansions are often pursued not only to remain viable, but to improve efficiency and environmental management practices under regulated systems. So, for those reasons, I cannot support this resolution in opposition to their expansion. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. I have to admit, I have no farm background other than drinking milk, just as a, so, anyway. This is not an easy issue to deal with, especially with the information that we've been given. I agree that the restrictions placed on by the CAFO are actually beneficial in corralling some of the problems or potential problems that could exist on the Gilbert farms. I have concerns that they were over the limit a number of years back, that they weren't even aware of the fact that they were essentially operating as a CAFO until the DNR recognized that. It then took them 6 to 7 months to reduce the herd to fall back within the restrictions. So that, I don't know the details of how long it takes to sell a herd or reduce the herd, but I was surprised it took that long, and I'm surprised that DNR gave them that amount of time. I look back on the history of Door County and the numerous articles that have been written over the years about water quality, the problems we've had with our water quality, the efforts undertaken by the county of Door to go through and basically check every single septic system in the county to ensure that it was operating functionally. I was bothered by the fact that there was 2 spills in our county, one at Haberley Farms in 2015, where a contractor who was hauling manure emptied manure into a sinkhole by mistake. To me, even though the best intentions, something like that can happen. So I'm concerned about that. Accidents can happen, no matter what we do. In my 23 years on this board, I've always tried to act in the best interest of the town, and I'm in the position that I don't want to have to go back at some point in time and say this happened while I was here, I supported it. So my position would be that I would be opposed to the expansion, even though I understand the Gilberts and what they're trying to do. I just don't think it's a risk that the county, additional risk that the county should have to undertake. And if in fact there is an accident, God forbid that would happen, it will be a price that will be paid by all of us. It will affect our economy, tourism, and it's taken years for us to turn around the perception of our water quality. So I would be opposed to that expansion. That being said, we need to decide, take formal action from a vote perspective, if we want to go one way or the other. So I'll leave the motion up to whomever to go wherever, unless there's any further discussion. Any?
Someone needs to make a motion.
Well, if no one will make a motion, I will. I'll make a motion to send to the Wisconsin DNR a resolution opposing the expansion of Gilbert Farms CAFO, of Gilbert Farms to a CAFO, excuse me.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Motion by Dan, second by Jeannie. Further discussion on the topic? Hearing none. All right, I'm going to do a roll call vote All right, Amy?
Supervisor Olson?
Nay.
Supervisor Waite?
Nay.
Chairman Mokel?
Yay.
Supervisor Vogel?
Aye.
So we have a motion that's essentially tabled. When you have a tie vote, no action takes place. The item has been tabled. So as a town, we will not take a position one way or the other relative to the CAFO. So that's it. Sorry we couldn't come to some agreement, but there are strong opinions on both sides on this issue. It'll have to be decided by a higher court. All right. You're all welcome to stay, or if you desire to go, feel free. You don't have to stay here either, whichever you prefer. All right.
Question, did we skip item 8, or is that going to be taken up?
No, that's next. We moved the CAFO discussion up because we had so many people here. That's our next item of business,
Order.
right?
You might want to call order.
Pardon me?
You might want to call order, or you just let it talk.
I'm sorry.
Nothing. It's okay.
All right. Next item of business is discussion about the intergovernmental agreement with Door County and the Town of Jacksonport for Shower Road Rebuild Project. I believe, and there's just a lot of information in here that we have talked about from month to month. This intergovernmental agreement came from the County of Door. They're basically saying this is the position that you, the Town of Sevastopol, takes, and this will be the position that the Town of Jacksonport takes, and the responsibilities of both of us as well as the County of Door. The way that this entire project has started is to provide a safe access into Cape Point County Park, and in doing so, create a new roadway that addresses the concerns about access, safety, people parking in the way, right-of-way, et cetera. Basically, what they're saying here is we agree to the redesign and the reconstruction of the road. We've agreed to contribute $50,000 towards the cost of this project. We agree to take any and all necessary action to vacate and transfer a portion of the existing Shower Road to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, who benefits in the exchange in that they give us the right-of-way for the redesigned roadway, and they then gain access to the old roadway, which they can use for hiking, biking, trails through the park, and in exchange for that. And we also agree to redesign the old, there's a short section of Shower Road that needs to be brought up to Door County highway standards, at which time, after all of this occurs, the road ownership will transfer to the County of Door, and they will be responsible for that portion of the road. And Jacksonport will be responsible for the cul-de-sac on the north end of Shower Road as you exit Cape Point County Park. And then it goes on to say basically what Jacksonport's to do, and which is, of course, it's the same thing: redesign, contribute, accept maintenance responsibility for the road. And that portion of the road from the north edge of Cape Point County Park up to the town of Jacksonport would be blocked off. The cul-de-sac would create for people on the north side of it in the town. It still would be accessible by bike or any other thing other than a motor vehicle, and will be turned back over to the state again so they can continue to make use of that access way. So they're asking us to do this. After we do it, the town of Jacksonport has to do it, and get back to them and send it off to the county, and they'll in turn approve it and send it back to us. I've got to go up here. Oh, you have, just for purposes of discussion, if there's some questions, you have the original proposed costs that we had from the meeting we had with the county here last year. And you also have going through all the stuff that's here. You also have a copy of the Community Investment Fund application that Amy and I did and has been submitted. And what was the date, Amy, that we hope to hear back?
I believe it's the 7th of November.
Okay. We did run this by them in a draft format. We submitted it to them in a final format, and I have contacted the person that's responsible for circulating this throughout their organization, had a discussion to make sure that they understood the finer points of our explanation. I think that was a beneficial conversation, and that they understood a little bit better, even though I think we laid it out fairly well. So really the question that'll come back is, if they grant us some funds, how much? It was one of the single largest application efforts that they've had, $200 and some thousand.
257.
Yeah, 257. So I don't know what'll happen if they'll see. It's a win-win for everybody involved in this. It's a win for the community because they get access, they get safer access, they get more bike and hiking trails. The DNR benefits, city or the town of Jacksonport. All of us benefit from this. So it really touches on a wide area that I think the Community Investment Fund will find attractive. So we just need to agree to the intergovernmental agreement. If you have questions, please let me know.
I have a couple comments, of course. So it's less than a half a mile of road. 344,000 is the estimate. I'm looking at Section 2, Number 2, Responsibilities of the Town. Did we address engineering costs at all in the application?
The county did most all of that.
Okay, so the engineering, the county's going to throw that in.
Yeah.
So if we're...
We shared, by the way, some of the cost of that initially.
Front, yeah.
Up front, we did that a couple years ago.
Was with our
Was that-
surveying.
Surveying.
Oh, that's right, yeah,
Yeah.
with all the pins or
Yep.
the
Yeah.
flags and all that. I'm kind of confused on the cul-de-sac. So the cul-de-sac, so we would bring the road up to county standards, and then the county would assume jurisdiction over that, except the cul-de-sac portion. And then if you go down to the responsibilities of Jacksonport, they're to accept maintenance and responsibility for the cul-de-sac as if it were a Town of Jacksonport road. Why wouldn't it just, if the county's not going to assume ownership of the cul-de-sac, doesn't it belong to the Town of Jacksonport? It doesn't really say that.
I don't know if I have a crisp answer for that. The whole purpose of the cul-de-sac was to address the traffic concerns going out of the park through the residential area of Jacksonport and the people up there. And that, I think, and Hugh, you might even remember some of this better than me, it came on as a last minute, I don't want to say last minute, but an add-on beyond our original project thoughts. They saw it as an opportunity to provide a solution for them, again, a win-win for the park. And what we didn't want was the town, once we block that road off, access to it becomes difficult, and Jacksonport plows its own roads. So it would be awkward for the county to come in to plow the cul-de-sac and then not do anything in the road and wait for Jacksonport to come in and plow their section. Does that make sense? Hugh,
And if
have
you
a-
want to make the, I think the other challenge too was transferring of land, because they're in the town of Sevastopol. It makes it easier to convey the property between the DNR and the town, and just keep that as a simple transfer, as opposed to literally changing and notching the boundary between town of Jacksonport and the town of Sevastopol just for a roundabout. So it makes the transfer of the land easier, of that transaction between the town of Sevastopol and the state of Wisconsin, you know, the DNR for the park. And I think just in the conversation that the chairman had with Chairman Wilson from Jacksport said, hey, we're not going to run a truck on the north side of the town, you know, through your town in order to plow that little strip of cul-de-sac. And it was just,
Sure.
just a very common sense solution.
Yeah.
Said, yeah, we'll take care of it, because quite honestly, you know, that town is getting the bulk of that benefit. So that really was, I think, a simple, no-brainer solution for that.
Well, so could we tighten up then under section 3, paragraph C? It says Jacksonport shall accept maintenance such as snow removal, salting, and general maintenance. So is that going to include a total repavement
They're in charge.
20 years from now, or?
That conversation I had with Tom Wilson, that road, that cul-de-sac is 100%, it's theirs. Every square inch of it, once the rocks go, they're responsible for it. And the intention, and I told this as well to Tom, depending on the funding and everything else, I personally think they underfunded this effort from their side. So I told them, depending on what happens, we may go back and ask him to add some money to this, because it's truly for their benefit. And if it comes to the point where the funding isn't there and we can't make it happen, then we'll exclude the cul-de-sac and deal with it from there. So, but if you have some suggested language that we can add, we certainly can do that.
Well, as long as it's clear that we would not be responsible for any part of that pavement. And thank you, Amy, for pulling this together. So the total project, $344,830, and requesting a grant of $257,688. Correct.
Okay, any other questions?
And we do not need to address the abandonment of the current shower road in this agreement.
No, we have to go back.
That will be with the DNR
We have to
directly.
go and do that with the DNR to transfer all of that land, as they would have to transfer the new roadway to the county. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, a motion to approve, and I'll tell you what, if we decide to approve this tonight, I will just add that the necessary verbiage, just say that this pavement's owned and operated exclusively by them.
Yep.
So,
I had a couple of questions asked to me about the $50,000, is why would we put money out to improve the road to then give it away? But really, the idea is, we're going to have to repave that entire road at some point anyway. So whether we spend the money to improve the road, or whether we spend the money to repave the road, that money's going to have to be spent either way.
right. And we could go it alone.
Yeah.
But we would never address the standards for safety and access. We would basically do what we've already done, which I think was I think the estimate's in there for $168,000.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, you're correct.
Yeah. Selfishly, I got the motorcycle license this year. I love driving down that road, and I'm going to miss it, but it is the best thing for the town, for both towns to do,
I think you
including
could
the DNR and the
probably
state.
go through there and just hopefully not get caught, okay. I mean, you could get
We're not
between
going to take that as
stones.
legal advice.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Okay. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Anything else? A motion to approve this then would be,
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement regarding the Shower Road redesign and reconstruction project.
motion by Trent, second. Second by Jeannie. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion approved. Amy will work on that little bit of verbiage and then shoot this back to Tom and the county. All right,
And
hold-
thank you for all the work on the,
cross your fingers on the community
grant.
foundation.
Very nice. I mean,
Application.
writing grants is not easy. There's a lot of
Very
detailed
good.
information, very
Yep.
well done.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
if anybody would like to write a grant for the town in any purpose, any of you in the audience, feel free to step up. We'll be glad to take advantage of your skill. All right. Meeting schedule. I gotta catch up with my stuff here.
ordinances and resolution.
Sorry, so many pages of this. My word, here we go. Sorry. All right, so we have a tentative meeting scheduled for 2026.
Don't you want the ordinances first? Or no?
No, we have the
Okay.
consideration of Gilbert.
Okay,
Yep,
9B, right? We're
Pardon
on 9B, right?
correct.
okay, sorry, missed that.
9B. Yeah. Anybody have any particular date issues? Anything that needs to be changed? I know that Ms. Flock checked any conflicts with Wisconsin deer hunting, and we have none that particular year, and the next, probably the next year it'll bounce back, but not at this time. All right, if not, we'll go with this. If somebody has a problem before we get it published, let me or Amy know. And we'll set up all the, oh, she is waiting. You're waiting for the open book and the board of review dates, right?
I am. I have those out to Miles, the assessor from Associated Appraisal.
Okay, great. All right. Off to the financial reports. You have the account balances for the month, budget versus actual, January through September, and you have the transaction list by date. You've had a chance to take a look at that. Amy, do you have anything to add from the treasurer's perspective?
I do. We were paid our fourth quarter general transportation aids, so we have those. The proposed 2026 budget is available for viewing on our website under the Budget and Financial tab. And the public hearing for the 2026 budget is Monday, November 17th at 6 p.m.
Okay, good. Any one question is on the financial report? If not, a motion to approve?
Could I have a?
Yes.
On the budget v. actual, the 318,000 under road construction out of our budgeted 400,000, does that include this last big bill that's in the vouchers right now?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So we're over in income and under in expenditures, great.
But I'm sure there's more bills coming.
Oh, great, okay, well, that's great
They're
too.
always,
Just so you know.
they're always so far behind. I don't know why, but they are, so. Okay, so any further questions? If not, a
No.
motion.
I'll move to accept and approve the financial reports for September 2025.
Motion by Linda, second by Trent. Approve the financial reports. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, that's taken care of. Vouchers, bills, and claims. Everybody's signed those? Okay, then a motion to approve would be,
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers, bills, and claims from September 16th, 2025 through October 20th, 2025.
motion by Jeannie, second by Trent. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay, good. Committee reports, or commission reports. We have the Park and Rec meeting from Wednesday, August 20th, which is the only formal minutes. And does anyone have any oral committee reports that they would like to make? Linda?
If I could comment on the Tourism Zone Commission. So we had our meeting last Thursday, and in your packet or at your desk tonight was a request from the tourism zone for any input from municipalities regarding the 2026 budgets for both the Tourism Zone Commission and Destination Door County. So the items there of interest would be establishment of a capital plan. That's for Destination Door County. I know they want to do a significant remodel of their existing premises out on Green Bay Road. So we asked for a capital plan going forward on other major expenditures. And then listing all revenues, so not just room tax that they collect, but also their advertising, any type of income, marketing share that they would receive. So we've got a nice transparent picture of what the revenues are. Target reserve, again, if they have a carryover, use that for their budget as opposed to assessing more. Direction of $1 million to the Community Investment Fund, as you all know, and from the grant that we we're submitting for Shower Road. We have been successful on, I think, a couple grants, and it's been a great benefit to the municipalities. One of the questions that did come up was, instead of awarding so many projects, could they reduce the number of projects down if there was a dire need?
Like Shower
So,
Road.
yes. So we would get the full 257,000 as opposed to 100,000. There's no limit and there's no minimum, so that might be something that we want to suggest to them. I don't quite understand utilizing current reserves to reduce the amount of room tax requested, because they automatically get 70% of our room tax. So I don't know how we could
that's a given.
possibly adjust
Yeah,
that.
no.
They automatically get 70%. So that was that. And then as far as the zone meeting, I asked the question, municipalities are in the process of doing their 2026 budget. Did they have an outlook for what revenues might be for 2026? No, they don't. But they did do better than expected in 2025. So I'm hoping that that trend continues, because it is a large portion of our budget, 200,000 or so. So, I think, and the movie. So you all know there was a movie filmed in Door County, right? And it was supposed to be called Door County Cherry Pie, or Door County Cherry Christmas. Well, the higher-ups, the movie company or whatever, said, no, it has to be called Wisconsin Christmas Pie. So the reference to Door County is out. As you know, the Door County Community Auditorium offered 3 showings. They're all booked up. So I asked if they could maybe reach out to our cinema and show it there. I'd even pay admission to see it. Otherwise, it's streaming on some of the channels that I do not
Hulu.
get.
If you have Hulu, you can watch it.
American Family Theater or something.
And it's a station on Hulu, I know that.
Yeah.
Didn't
So-
he also say that they were looking into other venues? And I mean, I know you mentioned the theater, but didn't he say they were actually looking into a venue?
I don't know. That was John
Yeah, John-
Jarish from Destination, so
Yeah,
I'm not
Jar-
sure.
We have
John
a
said that.
popcorn machine.
Yeah, and I make really good popcorn.
Yes, could we volunteer for?
Let me back up, if I can, to the tourism zone, Linda. So are they looking for input from, I didn't have a chance to read through this all, so are they looking for input directly back from the board as to the priorities of these listed activities?
Sure, because they're going to hope for the budgets by January 1st. We did not make that last year. I think we ran like into February or something. But, they asked us to reach out to our municipal board, so that's what we're
Okay.
doing.
I mean, I think there's a couple things on here that I wholeheartedly agree with. I mean,
I
you
would,
know, funding a larger project, and so, all right.
sure, send them to the administrator at the zone and she'll
And
take a look
she
at
will
it.
file them appropriately. Okay.
And then, did you want to mention that we're signed up for this or not?
I think I've got it in the correspondence.
Okay,
Leave it out. If not, I'll back up to it.
all right.
Okay.
Oh, and then, so the Plan Commission, we haven't had any items lately, but the county is in the process of updating its comprehensive zoning ordinance. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on that, on the various changes that are being made, and there will be a public hearing probably in January of 2026. Correct, Mr. Zettel? November? Okay. So we'll keep an eye out for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Need a motion to accept the minutes,
From the Park
put
and
them on file?
from Park and Rec?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to put the minutes from Park and Rec meeting from Wednesday, August 20th on file.
Yep. Okay, motion by Jeannie, second by
Second?
Trent. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I hear none. Okay, thank you.
Can I also make a comment about AT&T on the new map? Do we have that up?
Yep. 1 second.
Ta-da! There's a new map. Apparently, AT&T is ahead of schedule. So a good share of our town should be completed by the end of the year. with the exceptions of some of us folks who worked very hard for this broadband that are going to be at the end of the line. That would be me. And then there's some areas in the where we touch the town of Sturgeon Bay and that sort of thing, that is early of 2026 or spring of '26. So that's only basically, and there's an early summer of 2026 for some of Bay Shore as well. But the way they're moving along, the chairman may have something to say because I believe he was, shall we say, lit up today?
I was.
Yes.
AT&T came to my house this morning and installed fiber, and took about 3 hours. They ran it right up to the house and put it in where I wanted it located. They also connected up a landline phone through their device, which works fine. It was pretty slick. The device that they use is a combination router Wi-Fi. So if you do decide to go with AT&T, one device will provide Wi-Fi in your home as well as the internet connectivity. So you could get rid of a box or two if you choose to. And they have packaged up a deal too if you want to maintain a landline. They have a discounted rate for that. Like I said, it took about 3 hours, but it went smoothly. He kept me informed about what was going on. They also have, if you talk to these people, they also have a promotion if you want to go with AT&T phones. On the lake shore where I live, by Glen Lodge, an AT&T phone is not a good idea. Cell phone, yeah, let me correct that. Even the fellow that was there had difficulty making a call. So that's been a known issue. But if you live in other areas and you're happy and AT&T provides good cell coverage, they have some great plans, especially for seniors. So it was a positive all the way around. Nice job, cleaned everything up.
Could you refresh my memory on, because people are asking me, okay, so it's going down my street to get to my house. Was it we were going to cover, or they were going to cover the first
There's no expense for the
500
first
feet?
1,000.
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet in. So if your
Right.
driveway is longer than 1,000 feet,
Then
you may
you'll
have
be
to pay.
talking- You may.
Okay,
have-
thank you.
That would be a conversation with AT&T.
I didn't, I
Or
couldn't
move your
remember.
house forward.
Okay.
So you can do either one. Yeah, it's
All right.
no install, so if you're thinking
All right.
about doing it, you want to do it in the first year, so you don't end up having to pay any costs next year, or I can say next year, but after they finish their entire install. Okay, that brings us to the county board report with Mr. Zettel. Hugh?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my first question is to Linda. So Linda, when are you going to install AT&T in your condo?
We have AT&T already. We've had it for
Nice.
a long time.
Good.
But
Pulling
I don't know, I'll have to debate that.
He was pulling the chain. Pulling the chain.
And also just one clarification on the discussion that you had on item 9, where Supervisor Waite stated I was a county board supervisor. I have a caveat in that document. I just want to make sure it's clear that I'm stating those position that, as an individual, not as a county board member or a representative of the county of Door. Our corporate counsel made it very clear that, the county has no position and can take no position since it is solely the DNR's purview. So I just want to make that clear for the record.
My error on that. Thank you.
So with that, on the county board level, a couple things I want to touch on. One is we're hot and heavy in budget activities. Probably the biggest challenge we're trying to address is some exorbitant increases in healthcare costs for the county. Relative to, the county's self-funded. I think it's somewhere between a 16 to 19% increase if we look at where plans are. So there's everything from reinsurance, looking at carriers, working with our partner or with Door County Medical Center relative to bundling of services that can help us reduce costs. And that'll be a discussion with the Joint Admin and Finance Committee tomorrow, as well as the Finance Committee in a separate meeting to try to see if we can find some ways to reduce that overall cost burden. As far as reports, at that last meeting, there was an update done by the tech committee on the towers project. I know they're working now that we've updated the ordinance relative to the to a government entity being able to purchase smaller parcels of land. They've moved forward with some discussions, I know, with the Sevastopol School District to look at the potential purchase of some land for a tower on the school property. In addition, there is a tower in Ellison Bay that supports not only county but also state patrol and other state entities, and putting the new technology on that. Putting that new technology on the tower would cause structural challenges just because of the weight. So they're looking at potentially 2 additional sites in order to site the antenna to support that coverage in the northern door area. The total project cost now is close to, I think, $29 million. I think 2 years ago it started somewhere around 25 to 26. So it's increased. I think part of that is land acquisition. Part of that is also technology cost increases. So as soon as we get the land acquisition stuff done, then we'll move forward to the next phase of figuring out what the cost will be from a equipment perspective, and then look at the timing for issuing bonds for the portion that we won't pay with funds that we have in our unassigned fund balance. So hopefully we'll have a couple interest rate reductions in 2026 to help us along with that. On the ordinance side, we voted on the text amendment change to the Door County floodplain zoning ordinance. We went through this once already. What had happened was the DNR made a mistake relative to a date on some of the maps for the floodplain. And so we had to actually just primarily change a date referencing the approval date for floodplains that would be that the state represents. There were also a couple to why, since we had to do a public hearing for this, we also updated the document where there was some repeated text, and then we also added one area for not historical, but properties that were non-compliant, grandfathered properties that were non-compliant relative to with the new floodplain. They may have to make certain structural changes if they make additions to the building. One area that was omitted that we added and that the DNR supported was treatment of propane tanks, moving those appropriately. So that was a change we just noted because having a propane tank in a floodplain is probably not a good idea. So with that was approved as well. And then relative to a couple of budget, another budget or committee activity that we're working on, the broadband committee had a kind of a recognition event the first part of the month to basically celebrate the work of this, I guess, the 3.5 years that we were in place to kind of try to drive implementation activities in the communities. And with the upcoming BEAD, benefit of the bargain, or BOB, potential funding for the areas that were not covered by municipality activities. I'm happy to report that, with the draft plan sent by the state of Wisconsin, all the locations that were under or unserved in the county would now be covered. So basically, town of Liberty Grove, excuse me, a good chunk of Southern Door will now basically get coverage. I think there's at least 6 different vendors that submitted bids to address those locations. And the good news is 92%, excuse me, I have to get some water for this cold. 92% of those locations are going to be fiber. So, when you consider all the other investments that have been done, our town of Sturgeon Bay, Egg Harbor, et cetera, were pretty much all fiber to the premises. And these other federally funded draft locations, 92% of them fiber. I think we're going to have fiber to the premises, for the vast majority of residents in the county, which is huge. So we're really happy about that. The other part of this recognition is we're changing the makeup of our committee as we transition now with installations happening and people installing the high-speed fiber and high-speed broadband to their homes. We're going to change kind of the focus of the committee to transition to adoption, education. We have a large, population of folks that don't understand terms like Windows and streaming and Wi-Fi and those sorts of things. So we want to help to make sure that we get folks connected. We are I think the second largest, our second oldest population county per capita in the state of Wisconsin. So we have a lot of folks that we'd like to make sure we can continue our leadership in the county of aging in place. And we think technology can offer some huge benefits in that regard to make sure that our citizens can stay and enjoy quality of life at home, especially in terms of health care, reaching out to family, friends, neighbors, that sort of thing. So that's where we're going to start to focus. So we'll have groups from ADRC, some specific focus on education. There's a lot of families, especially now in our town, in the center, where I think 60-some% of Sevastopol families were in areas that were considered unserved
Yeah,
or underserved.
Yeah.
So we want to work with the school districts to make sure that we can make those families aware that AT&T actually does have an affordable access by AT&T program, where it gives them 100 by 100 access for $30 a month. So we want to make sure we can get families connected, and so that's going to be an additional focus. Plus, AT&T has done a lot with donating of equipment. So adoption and access also means it's nice if you have a fiber wire, but if you don't have an iPad or a laptop or whatever to connect at home, we're working with our partners at United Way and other not-for-profit entities to make sure that we get those devices that have been donated to the right folks so that we can improve adoption and access for our residents in our community. So I'm looking forward to that next phase of our work on the broadband committee. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Just a footnote, after my installation today, I sent Robin a note back at AT&T. For those of you who don't know, Robin is our contact point. But I encouraged her once again to use our facility to do some educational stuff because you're right.
We keep asking.
They need to better explain their phone service alternatives, because as you and I know, there are multiple ways to address that. And I think it helps clarify something when you actually show somebody a piece of equipment that's going to end up in your house that does this stuff. So, it takes the magic out of it. So I sent it to her, and I encouraged her to come back to us and do some kind of activities where people can come in and get further educated on that. So
She said she'd pass it on.
yeah, she'll pass it on. She'll
I
pass
think
it on
to that
over
point,
here.
I think one of the reasons why the county was so successful and successful to the point that the UW Extension, which has invested a lot of resources to help with broadband adoption, working with the Wisconsin Broadband Office, they've recognized Door County as probably a best practice, and they're actually working on a kind of position paper study to make sure that other counties can learn from us.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing on the adoption is, much like the work that was done and the great sharing we had by the various municipalities, that Jeannie would work with, whether it was Kirk Kiefer and Bailey's Harbor, Robert Cornell and Washington Island, the list goes on and on. There was great information sharing, best practice sharing, thinking of ways to address their specific municipalities' concerns. And, folks like at Bailey's Harbor, they've done a lot of great education work already focusing on adoption. So those are areas with this committee's focus is to get those best practices, those learning sessions,
Yep.
and make sure that we can share that broadly, again, to drive adoption and to drive and continue to build on the great momentum and success that we've been a part of in the town of Sevastopol as well as in the county. So,
Good.
with that, okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you much. All right, going through, back to your information, you have copies of the inspection specialists for the month, their activity, as well as building permits. It seems that list is getting a little thinner, but we'll have to see what happens in the long haul. Underneath correspondence, as Amy mentioned, we received our general transportation aid. This is just an item of interest that Amy ran across, which is there's going to be a foreclosure sale. And if you're interested in owning a street,
Yep, that's what it is.
there is a street for sale in Pine Tree, and it's the road into their homes. So I would hope that those people that live on that private road
They
show
should
up
be
and
buying
buy
it.
that road.
They better.
Otherwise, I'm going to buy it, and there'll be a toll gate there on the following day. But anyway, that's oddball stuff, and I think the treasurer hasn't been able to clarify it any better than anyone else, right?
He has not.
Yeah, okay. Information on Door County Connect on their 15 years of service to the county. As you see, their buses or vans shooting about. We have our final population estimate from the Wisconsin Department of Administration, which shows us with 2,885 people in our town, and 2,483 of those are voting age. So, and they do say if we have an adult correctional facility, those people would be included, but we don't, so we're good. Town Law Conference, this seems like we can't get off one topic to the next. Town Law Conference is going to sponsor a session on making waves and harnessing the wind, which covers enhanced wake boats. And we have Amy signed us up, so we'll be able to share that information with the rest of the board. And I think it'll be informative. I know that our attorney sees this stuff, and she was in the loop, obviously, on our last go-round. So I suspect she'll probably be in attendance as well. Thank you note from the Moss family. Don and his wife cleaned our building for, I don't know, the first 8, 9 years.
10 years, yeah.
10 years. Did a nice job for us. He passed away recently. Sturgeon Bay Fire Department report. There's nothing in here about them wanting a new fire truck this year, so we'll just pay our normal price, $400,000 or so, roughly, change. There's a copy of the map again that you have in there. As I told the town board at a meeting earlier on our budget, AT&T has moved so quickly on this that they've reached almost the milestone that says we're going to have to pay them almost half of what we owe this year. So far, they haven't picked up the phone and sent us an invoice, but I'm sure it's on its way. So we're going to make an effort after next week's Federal Market Committee meeting to apply for the loan through the State Board of Land Commissioners. Otherwise, we are not going to have the money, and we will be marked past due. So good news for everybody out there, though, is they are working, I mean, they are everywhere, working hard to complete this project. And that encompasses everything in the correspondence category. Announcements, special board meeting, as Amy mentioned earlier, the budget meeting, November 17th at 6 p.m. We've actually had this will be our 7th annual Sevastopol Christmas party.
Correct.
It seemed like we had done that long. Starting Friday, December 5th from 5 to 8 p.m. Good food and beverages and fun, and a lot of nice door prizes that the community has donated or will donate to us, and you should be there. Last is our next board meeting will be Monday, December 15th at 7 p.m. And with that, I think we have covered everything. Yes.
One announcement, the Sevastopol School District annual meeting will be this Wednesday at Sevastopol School at 6:30.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you. All right. Anything else? I think the next thing is
A motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
I didn't even get
Didn't
to
you
say
do
who.
it? I thought you said motion to adjourn.
I did.
You did?
Yes, he did.
I didn't even get to say Trent
Well,
made a
let's get
motion.
on with
And Jeannie, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you. And